You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drakewing Gaming, and Sunny Mountain Sword of the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you on the Let's Play episode of Beasts of the Thorns. Chris's Path. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm saying you were up, and let's go! I struggled hard, but all I saw was him moving uncomfortably, with no intention of waking up. Amor! The fox reacted a little, but he didn't wake up yet. He muttered indistinct words, and then he opened his mouth and grabbed me by the back of my neck. It was a restrained force that didn't injure or hurt me. It didn't hurt or injure me, but it prevented me from moving from his sharp teeth. I struggled to reach out as far as I could from the fox's joint immobilization technique to slap him. Amor! Hey, Amor! After a lot of struggling on my part, the fox loosened up, and in his place he started licking me, licking the spot he had just picked up. Yikes! Aww. The sudden licking made my whole body tingle. I saw him lick for a while, sigh contentedly, and bury his fox mouth in the crevice between my neck and the bed, his nose sliding wetly along the side of my neck. Are you a cat? Don't grin me in my sleep! I angrily resonate with Amor, who has a history of mischief, but this time he's really sleepy and his thoughts are sleeping soundly. I sighed, and after making sure he was at peace, I began to try and escape from his joining technique. I quietly removed his hands, pushed his thighs apart with my feet, and just as I got my body halfway out of his embrace, he reflexively grabbed me back in and served me up with another round of licks and bites. Well, morning, Hess. It was some time before Amor finally opened his eyes. The lower lids slightly darkened, and it seemed that he had dragged himself out of sleep for some time after I had gone to bed last night. I don't want to talk to you right now. Within Amor's embrace, I'm subjected to all sorts of teasing, with countless saliva marks and bite marks. The back of my neck feels like it's almost being licked raw. You have the worst sleeping position I've ever seen, bar none. Nonsense! We foxes are the best sleepers. I pointed to the back of my wet neck. It's just your sweat. Tough talker. I moved my finger to the bite mark on my shoulder again. Oh no, Hess, you've got a rash. You should see a doctor quickly. I heard the weakness in his voice. He knows he did it. Let me go. Amor dutifully released me and stepped back. I was finally able to get up, and the first thing I did when I got up was go to the bathroom to check out how bad a disaster my neck was. I checked, and I had a total of 5 bite marks. Luckily, none of them broke the skin. I am so sorry. Amor's voice comes from far away in the room. I ignore him and begin my morning wash. So, where did you go last night? It's a long story. Well, we finished our morning wash and headed for the kitchen of the fraternity house to see if we could find something to eat. I was going to invite Chris to join me, but I located him with my resonance, and he was in the basement, feeling as if he was busy, supposedly working out. Chris has been hanging out with Ostrom a lot lately, which makes me a little uncomfortable, but I have no reason to object, and it puts me in a bit of a depressed mood. Amor beside me stammers hesitantly, his desire to speak pulling my attention back. It's about Luvia. Your second sister? How's she doing these days? I haven't seen her in a while. Amor sighed. And you know my sisters never give me a free moment, and always have some shit for me to clean up. Who shed your little brother? What happened this time? Luvia has agreed to another marriage proposal from a stranger she met at a bar before church. Big sister Veronica gets really angry this time, and the two sisters got into a nasty fight. Veronica froze Luvia's bank account and credit cards and kicked her out of the mansion. Now the second sister has nowhere to go, nowhere to call home. I rushed into town last night to send money to Luvia, or she would have been truly homeless. I smiled bitterly. This isn't Luvia's first time. Her love story plays out about twice a year. Either she falls in love with a married man, or she pays a lot of money to keep a non-working man, and each time she falls out of love and gets hurt, but she's happy about it. And what's strange is that Luvia is a capable middle-ranking executive who has risen through the ranks of an international trading company. Loved by her subordinates and relied on by her superiors, it doesn't seem to be someone who would lose her mind due to love at all. Good Lord, woman, you must make a lot of money, giving all that money away to random men you meet. Don't do that. Don't give all your money to random men you meet. Alas, after all, it's my own sister. I can't say anything. Although Luvia is 5 years older than me, her concept of love is still as innocent as a little girl's, and it's easy for her to fall into a love frenzy. Although I'm pretty much the same. Amor pretends to look at me carelessly, talking to himself. Anyway, it's a good thing there's a night post office in the Outer Realms, or I wouldn't have known how to get the money to Luvia for a while. And even so, it was midnight when I got back to the Brotherhood house from the city, and I had to ask Ostrom to open the door for me. He's working so late. Ah, so you didn't get much sleep? I realized my midnight nightmare resonance woke up Amor. Amor gave a cheeky smile in an ambiguous manner, not taking it personally. I sighed inwardly, knowing that if I apologized to him, he'd feel guilty instead. I'm the one at fault. We made our way to the kitchen door and pushed it open, only to see that the kitchen lights were dimmed. The stove showed signs of use, but had been cleaned, and Bjorn had come to an end to the fraternity kitchen earlier than I expected. This morning's ingredients from the market fill the cupboards. A pot of scallops is spitting sand in the sink, and several deep pots are soaking different kinds of beans, so it looks like he's going to take on the challenge of making homemade tofu. I checked the vegetables in the cupboard, and the asparagus in there even had morning dew on it. 5-star restaurant chefs aren't as diligent as he is. I just opened the refrigerator, and it was stuffed with vegetables. Bjorn, are you trying to throw some kind of party? I turned to Amor and showed him the fridge full of food, and Amor stared in disbelief. Is he opening a restaurant? Can't figure it out. There's absolutely no need for him to earn a recommendation at a fraternity. He's good enough to be a 5-star restaurant chef. Maybe it's just his hobby. Brown elves love housework. In the old days when humans and demons were at war, only the brown elves were exempt. Not only did the human aristocracy provide security for the brown elves, they also... Could it possibly be that he means dark elves? They also paid them well to take care of their homes, and only the most noble families could afford to hire brown elves. But after the Battle of North Mountain, the brown elves on both sides of the fence were regarded as traitors and ostracized in every way. This situation was not better until recently. So there is such a history. That explains why Bjorn doesn't appear as a brown elf. No, I think he transformed into a bear purely because he's a bear enthusiast. Ha! When you think about Bjorn's bear-addled behavior, there's no denying that he's a bear addict. But to his credit, no matter how much he likes the smell of bears, he always washes himself before cooking, so it seems that he still has some reserve as a chef. I continued to check the refrigerator. Bjorn doesn't know the meaning of moderation, and the fridge is full of labor-intensive dishes that are great for entertaining, but too much for the stomach if you eat them on a regular basis. Finally, I pushed open a glass box of greased duck and found an avocado salsa sitting deep in the fridge, perfect for bread. I took out the bowl with the salsa and the butter, put it on the table, and pulled a loaf of whole wheat bread out of the pantry, which was soft and crunchy, so it must have come out of the oven a while ago. Amor, who refused to let me serve the whole thing, took the bread, cut it to size with a steak knife, and slathered it with butter, and piled on the avocado salsa. That sounds good. A truly drool-worthy combination. The fox couldn't wait to bite into the bread with a look of approval. It wasn't my cooking, but seeing him eat so well made me feel accomplished, and I couldn't help but want to feed him more and more, so I pulled another glass of orange juice out of the fridge and poured a glassful for the fox. Then the figs were served along with the whole wheat crackers with cooked cheddar cheese, and finally, when I hesitated to make a salad out of the endive, Amor stepped in to stop me. Don't let yourself get infected by Bjorn. It seems that Bjorn's forced feeding last time left Amor with a bit of a psychological shadow. I had to regretfully give up on the idea of making a deluxe vinaigrette salad. Maybe it's a vicarious psychology caused by my own inability to eat. Cooking for others suddenly becomes magically appealing, but the hunt is on and I can't stuff Amor with fat foie gras. I put the ingredients back where they belong and asked Amor as I washed and dried my hands. What are you doing, waiting? Ugh. The fox had a mouthful of food and looked at me in despair. I struck up a conversation with him at a very bad time. It's an inconvenient time to not be able to empathize. All I could feel was the fox's eagerness to devour the food. If I could resonate, he could communicate with me while chewing his food. After a long time, the fox finally finished swallowing, his mouth full of food. Don't ask questions to a fox who's eating. We need to savor. I'll be free in the morning. As for the afternoon, don't you forget we have Introduction to Engineering Management. Ooh, excuse me. Just take small bites. Tomorrow morning is fine, and later accompany me to the medical center. But this is so good. How does that bear know how to cook so well? No problem. We'll leave as soon as I finish eating. Amor didn't ask me what I was gonna do. All he cared about was being there for me. Lately, I've been in a bad state of mind that I haven't been able to hide, and he's caught me in the act many times, and he's very uncomfortable with me being alone. If I show even the slightest sign of wanting to go off on my own, he'll stare at me with intimidating eyes, as if to warn me that if I go off on my own again, he'll chain me up whenever he can see me. It is difficult for me to move alone with him on full alert. Strangely enough, although I know Chris better and resonate with him, I have a harder time fooling this fox who only resonates weakly with me. It's probably because I know Chris so well that it's rather easy to fool the big dog with a distracted mind. But then again, I'm afraid of being alone now. When I'm alone, I can't help but think pessimistic thoughts. Being exiled by humans was a heavier blow than I expected. The matter of being traumatized was more complicated than I expected. I'm a rationalist, and I thought I had the ability to see myself objectively and regulate my emotions, but that's not the case. Even with the thoughts of trying to control myself, emotional crashes come and go, and self-control collapses with them. It has nothing to do with how I think or look. It just comes out of nowhere and messes me up. But luckily, I still have my supportive friends around. And I can't help but stare at Amor. I saw Amor speeding up his meal after finalizing today's itinerary, regardless of his appearance. I saw through Amor's desire to finish his breakfast, so he could accompany me to the medical center, and I immediately made him a steaming cup of spiced black tea, complete with cinnamon stirring stick. Amor glanced at me, and fearing that it would be hot, he furtively blew on it to cool it down and took small sips. Swallowing is not an option at my table. I've gone to great lengths to prepare breakfast, and I can't afford to have it skimped on. It's not just food I cook, it's art. Though Bjorn did most of the cooking. Although Amor's mouth didn't dare to complain, the corners of his mouth were puckered up, showing extreme reluctance. He was like a little kid, just wanting to finish his meal and sneak out to play, but when he managed to finish his plate of food, he was suddenly given additional drinks, and his reluctance was written all over his face. I laughed in my belly, but I still stared at him airily and made him finish his spiced black tea. The fox looked at me pitifully and, realizing that I was unshaken, had to speed up blowing of air into the black tea. Finally, the fox took a few licks of the tea with his hot tongue, put the cup down and neatly packed up the utensils and rinsed them in the sink, fearing that I would find out that he hadn't actually finished his tea. Just when I was hesitant to poke holes in his cleverness, he took me by the hand with a big smile and told me to stand up. "Time waits for no one. Let's go." I laughed bitterly. That's probably how it would feel if he had a brother, right? Looking at the fox's expectant eyes, I can only nod helplessly and let him be. When we left the fraternity, it was already time for classes, and many students were walking through the campus. It was a nice day, and some of the demons were sunbathing on the grass. Both human and orc types don't mind sunbathing half-naked on campus, whereas their necromantic types dress conservatively and even intentionally avoid the sun. At first, I'd be surprised at the Outer World's clothing habits. The only place you're likely to see a bathing suit in the sun in a human community is at the beach, whereas the Outer World's demons are much more sun-hungry, and given the cloudy, rainy climate of the Outer Worlds, it's not hard to imagine why the demons love the sun so much. Not to mention the fact that compared to the openness of the interior of the Brotherhood House, the demons basking in the sun on campus can be said to be fully clothed. In the center of the grassy area, a crowd had gathered, listening intently to the Kelpie playing in the center of the crowd. The magical creatures were also generous in giving the Kelpie a bounty. Outlander guys really know how to enjoy themselves. Bards are highly regarded in the Outer Realms, and magical creatures are extremely fond of music. Though most demons can play musical instruments, there are not many truly talented minstrels. Alright, y'all, I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!